Alright, in this video I'm going to be finding the inverse of quadratic in vertex form. And notice we do have a domain restriction where x has to be less than or equal to -2. So step one, we're going to start as usual, right? Our goal is to swap the x and y. We're going to switch it. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and convert f of x into a y. And set that equal to our equation, which is x plus 2. Squared plus 4. And now I'm ready to go ahead and do that swap with x and y. My x is going to move to the left in y's place, and y is going to move to the right in my x's place. In other words, it's going to become x is equal to parenthesis y plus 2 squared plus 4. Once I've got this written out with the x and y swapped, I'm ready to go ahead and go to step 2. In step 2, we're going to use inverse operations to move the constant, because we're going to try to isolate y and get it all by itself. So I'm going to start by subtracting 4, I should say, from both sides. Now on the right side, right, the 4 cancels. And when we subtract it on the left, we just have to rewrite it, because since x is a variable and 4 is a constant, we can't combine them. So we'll just write them after one another. And then I'll bring down what's left over, which is now just y plus 2 squared. And once I've gotten to this point, we're ready to go ahead and move to step 3. Notice that step 3 says take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and write me a square root right here. And I'm going to put me one here as well. Now notice, right, anytime we take the square root of something that's squared, it simply gets rid of the square. So I can cross out that power of 2 and cross out my radical. And this simply becomes y plus 2. Over here on the left, I'm simply going to bring this down. And remember that whenever we're taking the square root of something, there is a positive and negative value. So it's plus or minus x minus 4. So once we get to this point, we do have to go ahead and determine as well. And we have to consider our restriction. So we're going to deal with that in just a moment. But notice step 4 says use the inverse operations to move the constant. So we're going to go ahead and move that 2 over. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. Now on the right side, right, it cancels. But on the left side, it does not. So rewrite this as y is equal to, and I have plus or minus, and I'm going to put my -2 in front. So I got -2 plus or minus the square root of x minus 4. So we're almost done. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to rewrite our equation with the y on the left using the negative square root because of the domain's restriction of x must be less than or equal to -2. So I'm going to go ahead and circle it. We're only using the negative. We're going to ignore the positive. And so when I write this, I'm going to move my y value over to the left. So I have y is equal to negative square root of x minus 4 and I'm going to put this -2 at the end and put -2 right here, and I have all my terms, right? We have the negative square root of x minus 4 right here, and then we have our term -2 at the end, -2, and we have our y isolated all by itself in the front. So our final step is going to be step 6. And in step 6, we're going to write the final answer using function notation indicating this is the inverse function of what we started with. So that y is going to get transformed into a f of x to the -1. So f of x to the -1 is equal to negative square root of x minus 4 minus 2 more. I'm going to box it, and that is my final answer.